Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For the Minions, the weekly podcast, whatever you want to call it, all about upcoming third-person MOBAs, a whole variety of them. We got updates this week for Predecessor, Fault, and Ethereal. We don't have anything for Overprime, which is a little odd, but we'll still talk about them, just like we do with Pred, when Pred used to not have any updates ever. But they've been charting them out now. It's good to see. And then we're going to talk about the poll, which the numbers were being reported wrong. They were being counted correctly, reported wrong. So we've got the actual finalized poll that we'll discuss. And then the topic for discussion is we're going to just Frankenstein these games together. We're going to cherry pick the best parts that we like from them and then see if we can create our own Ultra game, Ultra MOBA. But yeah, that is, I'm your host, the Man Goose, and joining me, as always, is my friend and co-host, JellyKnees. How you doing, Jelly?
I'm good, Man Goose. Happy to be here. It is weird that we don't have any Overprime news. It feels like we've had Overprime news more consistently than literally any of the others. So, interesting. Didn't notice that until just now. But with us this week, we've got the Bearded Wolverine. Welcome back, Bearded. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm glad to be back. And
Awesome,
yeah, and those numbers being reported wrong. I mean, you'd think, it's almost like they reported the weather or something.
It's all guesswork.
I do want to say that Bearded wasn't my first choice, but
I'm never anybody's first choice.
you were the first host when we brought this back.
But I am the best choice.
You were the first choice.
I believe Man Goose said, like, I could get Stunt or Bearded, right? And so he put Stunt in front. So I don't know.
All right, so before we offend anybody else and hurt some feelings, let's move on to the news and updates. Let's knock out Predecessor real quick, since they just hardly ever have any news. They actually had some fairly decently big news this time, which was Rampage is going to be their next hero to be added in to the game. No idea when we'll be able to play him, but they announced him with Nabori did a picture and then another post with an actual video of Rampage. What I could observe from the video, he has the rock, which is pretty iconic. You can't have Rampage without that rock. And then he also had the Rumble, but that is all we know about from that video about the Rampage. So, Bearded Wolverine, you want to talk about the Rampage?
We'll talk about Predecessor. Are we sure that he's the next one? I mean, like, I know they showed video of him being in game, and they've also showed a picture of Grux. They've showed Richter being as, in the shadow ground of one of the announcements. And they've also showed Faye when they were announcing that they were closing down the stress tests. I mean, like, they kind of showed these heroes, like, which one is next? Which one are they all going to be in when we go live again, or what? How's that going to work out?
So, I mean, if we go based on what they've been saying and the order of them, if they're gonna go one by one, theoretically that means it's Faye, Grux, potentially Richter, if that one announcement actually means something, and then Rampage. But I think they're all gonna be in there most likely. I don't see why they would announce the Faye and then show gameplay of Rampage, but the Faye's not in the game anymore, or not in the game yet, rather. So I'd imagine we're gonna see at least those three in game next time we play the game, whenever that may be.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're gearing up for something with all the posts suddenly, so we'll have to, hopefully it's soon.
I never played Rampage. Sorry. I never played Rampage in Paragon, so I don't really know what all of his stuff was. I know that his ultimate, he got really huge and got a bunch of health, especially if he was in the jungle. Did he have a passive in Paragon?
Yeah, King of the Jungle. It gave him health regen while he was in the jungle.
Yep.
Health regen was in the jungle. Okay. I mean, so I would just assume the way Predecessor's been going, I really don't see them changing his kit very much at all. I know they've been adding passives to heroes that don't have passives, but I would assume they would just keep his the same. They might balance it a little bit, but I think that he's going to stay the same. I don't, yeah, like you said, we saw the Rumble and we saw the Rock, which I think those are the two main ones that you want besides the ultimate,
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, before we get into Rampage, I just want to say real quick, I don't think they ever announced the Faye or Richter officially. They never said.
No, yeah.
RGS Ace in their Discord, when they went down on their stress test, said the Faye will be in the game next. That was not just a tease, that was actually part of it.
Okay, and I appreciate that.
They had a tweet today that also said, how often and how much should you water houseplants? There's literally only one plant character in the game.
So
it's got to be the Fae. So
maybe that
think I
was
had
just
the
an
best
actual
reply.
request. Maybe one of them needs to know, and they have some houseplants and they need to water them.
I think I had the best reply to it. I said it depends. Is it my favorite plant?
Oh,
This
God.
fucking guy with his jokes, man.
All right, and that was Bearded Wolverine. Thank you so much. We're gonna go back to just Mangoose and
That
I
was
this episode.
Bearded Wolverine in a nutshell, right there. Okay, so they did say that the Fae, but they never really announced Richter though.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
I think we
haven't
could probably
seen anything-
expect the Fae, Grux, and Rampage.
Mhm.
Now Rampage,
So,
with his
No,
abilities,
sorry, Richter though. When Tiger was there, Richter, he kind of pointed out the fact that they wouldn't put him there. This is again in Gen Chat. He kind of said would they really put him there if it wasn't for a reason. He never fully said that was for sure in there, but that's literally something, not literally. It's paraphrasing what he said. Would they put him there if it wasn't for a reason? So again, that's what I'm saying. Like, is Rampage really the next one, or are we gonna get those 4? I don't know. They just keep announcing these heroes, but we're still waiting to see more gameplay.
You know what would be nice though is if they would actually not like I have to look in Discord on a certain date and time to find out, and
Yep.
because like Grux was like a straight up announce, Rampage seems to be a straight up announce.
Yep.
But, from what you guys are saying, they talked about it in their Discord or whatever about the Fae and Richter. But if you're going to have the Fae and Richter in, then fucking announce it, because that was my top 3, right? Well, top 4, I guess, was the Richter, the Fae, and then Crunch and Shimby. Like,
Yep.
if you're going to fucking announce it, then let me know, man. God damn it.
Mhm.
But okay, but back to Rampage. We're jumping all over the damn place. Speaking of jumping all over the damn place, so Rampage originally had his jump, and it was replaced by that Rumble maneuver. That Rumble maneuver just wasn't always a part of his kit, which makes me wonder if they're going to have like Overprime had the Rock, the Rumble, and the jump. Like, is Predecessor going to go the same way? Because a lot of people were pretty pissed off whenever they removed Rampage's jump.
Yeah. That to me is his second most iconic ability. Is you've got the Rock and you've got the jump, and that is Rampage. So I would think it'd be a really good move to have the jump still in the game, but he was also horribly unbalanced because of that jump at the same time. So it's one of those, are they confident enough in their balance team that they implement the really strong factors of Rampage into the game?
Right. So that was when Epic was trying to remove a lot of the movement abilities when they removed the jump. They removed his jump, they removed Grux's dash at the same time, because they were tired of tanks being able to disengage from fights easily. Grux isn't really a tank, but he's a bruiser. Rampage was more of a bruiser than a tank too. A lot of people look at him as a straight up tank. He actually had less health and armor scaling than Steel or Richter or any of the other ones. He was meant to be like a midway between a bruiser and a tank. It just, whenever he ulted up, he could fucking tank.
Would that be a bank?
Yeah, that would be a bank. And you could take that one to the bank.
You can take.
So, moving on. The other thing they've shown, we've had the majority of their new posts have been on Twitter. And
yes.
I don't know how, but I've been getting non-stop notifications from their Twitter because of it. So since they've started posting, like every reply, I get a notification again. I don't know what is wrong with my Twitter, but it is telling me like, you want to pay attention to this. So the other thing they showed off on their Twitter was a emote for Gideon, which we hadn't seen from them before. Is the emote system at all?
Yeah, I like what they've been doing. They've been kind of like doing a little teaser, like you don't know what's happening, and then they would later on in the day they'll show you like, hey, this is what that teaser was for. So it kind of gets you excited. You're all right now. You're looking, you're waiting to see what's happening. What's especially with the little TikTok leak. That Nabori was doing. Hey, I'm gonna be posting leaks or whatever. Pay attention. Follow us. So he's definitely staying towards that, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's good to see a lot of updates out of them. But and then I didn't see the emote on Twitter. Like, again, I wish they would just centralize all this stuff. I understand why they don't just put it all in announcements, because you kind of want announcements to be your
Your big stuff.
Your big stuff that you're announcing to the community. But I wish there was a tab in their Discord that was just social media, just in general, and I could look at anything they do on Twitter, TikTok, whatever. Just all goes to the same place, and I could check that out in one centralized location.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all right, so that's about all the news I had for Predecessor. Did you guys have anything you wanted to discuss about Pred before we move along?
Not directly, no.
Nope.
Okay. Let's move on now to Ethereal, because Ethereal announced some stuff that I am really, really excited about. And they also did something that a lot of us have been asking for a long time. I think Jelly probably had a lot to do with that. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
Which is the roadmap. But before we get to the roadmap, I want to talk about malware. You guys are talking about a new ADC that will hopefully be in the next playable test that we have, which will, you said either March or April would probably be the first time. So hopefully we'll have this hero in there by then. But his basic attack, he's an archer, and his basic attack actually has draw, and then you have damage depending on how long you draw, and projectile fall off. So it's kind of works like Hanzo from Overwatch, except it's a MOBA, which I think is a brilliant concept for a 3D MOBA, and I'm kind of surprised we didn't see it in like Paragon at all. I mean, if we would have seen it, it would have been on Sparrow. We see it a little bit with her right click, but like this is just every basic attack. So I think this is going to be really, really freaking cool. Bearded, you're an ADC main. What do you think about an ADC that you have to manage this much with?
I think the draw is fine, because I think it just becomes more. You're gonna find that rhythm. Once you find that rhythm, you'll be rolling with them, and I'm okay with that. I'm excited for it actually. With malware, what actually I'm worried about with him is the skill difference for me is his right mouse button. With Ethereal and the right mouse button, like you literally have to continue toggling his. Unlike everybody, like with Dante, you can choose whether or not you want to use the right mouse button, and everybody else right now in Ethereal, you can choose if you want to use it or not. And this one, you literally have to continue, monitoring that, because you'll be at the point you run out of mana, or you need, was it the mana is health? I can't remember. Jelly will remind me.
Resistances, or apply your passive on every hit, but cost mana.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's like sometimes you gotta keep toggling that, because if you're out of mana, then it's like, okay, well now I'm gonna lose resistance the whole time. Yeah, I'm getting health, but am I getting enough health to counter the resistance? I doubt it. And that's where it's gonna be a challenge. But I'm excited for it.
Gonna separate the wheat from the chaff, the ones from the zeros, as malware would say.
There we go. When I first joined the team and we were talking about designing malware's kit, one of the things that was already decided was his basic attack. And so it was one of those things of like, this has to be part of it. And I'm like, yeah, sold 100%. That's a great idea. I love it. Where do I sign?
Yep.
So super, super cool idea. And I can't wait to have everybody get their hands on it and feel how it plays.
Jelly, why don't you walk us through the rest of his kit real quick?
Yeah. So malware's passive, it's a 3-hit passive initially. Every time you land a basic attack on somebody, you apply the one of 3 stacks. When you get to that 3rd hit, it does a burst of damage and then applies a damage over time effect to that person. The damage over time effect is just damage over time, and it can stack up to 4 times. This is where it comes in play with the right click. When you have your right click toggled on, you apply that damage over time on every hit, that effect on every hit, but it costs you some of your mana as the downside. If you have the right click toggled off, you lose some of your resistances, so your physical resistance and your magical resistance, but you gain a heal every time that damage over time effect is applied. So it's kind of providing that trade-off of healing versus applying more damage out there, and you have to decide which one you want to use most often. His Q is overclock, and it's just a straight up attack speed stim. For malware, because he's got the unique basic attack speed will benefit him in that it will reduce the draw speed. So the more attack speed you have, the faster you can draw to that full draw and get those shots going out there. So do more damage, more range, more projectile speed, like Mangoose said. His E is a spell shield that he pops it, and he's got a spell shield for a couple seconds. If he blocks a spell, whoever cast it, then takes a stack of the damage over time effect, so a stack of Malware's passive, and it resets his cooldown on his Q, so he can get that attack speed boost up again. His R is that for every damage over time effect he has out on enemy myths, he casts his R and he gains a damage increase for each of those stacks. So the more stacks he has out there, the more damage he gets when he presses the button. It's going to have a lengthy cooldown because it's a very strong ability. But if used well, it can turn the tide of a fight by itself. And then his ultimate is a skill shot that goes through minions. The first time when the arrow he shoots collides with an enemy myth, they go to Malware's reality. It's kind of a 1v1 arena for a certain amount of time. And if Malware kills the enemy myth in that arena, he permanently gains a percentage of their power.
So it's a lot like Revenant's ultimate, except you get, instead of a bounty, you get power, and they take a little extra damage while they're in that realm, and it completely removes them from the map. So you don't have, like, the problem with Revenant was it was supposed to be just a one-on-one fight on like this alternate reality map, but like stuff would affect you inside, and like yeah, it was a big pain in the. It never worked the way Epic announced that it was going to work, and I think this implementation is more along the lines of what Epic wanted for Revenant, which again, Ethereal is not associated with Paragon in any way. They're doing their own thing. But a lot of the, a lot of MOBA kits are quite similar. And Malware reminds me a lot of Revenant with like the draw mechanic, with attack speed affecting his draw is kind of like with Revenant, attack speed affected his reload. And then he's got this ultimate that puts people in an alternate reality. Another big difference though is that you actually have to, it's a skill shot that you have to hit. Like Revenant was lock on.
A lock on, yep.
Yeah.
So one of the things I by listening to what was going on when I was in Community Corner, is this ultimate, and then when you come back from the malware's reality, you're literally in the same place that you guys left in. So literally, it's like, okay, like the other enemy team can just like sit there and just wait. It's almost like Greystone's ultimate. Like Greystone, you all right, his passive went off, and like now you're coming down like, all right, everybody's for you. It's like, okay, sweet, I got the kill, but now it's like, was it really worth it for me? I think that's going to be a challenge in that regards. And when I think of Malware's reality, I literally think of, I don't know, Mangoose, you might get this, Jelly, you might be too young, Lawnmower Man, the movie Lawnmower Man, and how he was like in a oh, Jelly gets it.
This guy, okay.
So, but that's what I think of. I think of the Lawnmower Man. I think of that as a little virtual reality type thing going on. Old movie though. If you know it, tell me in the comments below.
Is that Pierce Brosnan was in that? Yeah.
With Malware's ultimate,
yes.
That's something that we're definitely aware of as he's entering testing, is the fact that they get put right back in the same spot for both teams could be a problem. And so we have some ideas of how we want to combat that if that becomes a problem.
Right.
But so that's definitely front of mind in terms of that ability specifically. And the big thing with Malware is he's got two damaging abilities technically, his basic attack and his ultimate.
Yep.
That's from a damage perspective, he's very straightforward of how he deals damage. And it's just those two things. So it's going to be really interesting to see the skill differences we see from okay malwares to good malwares to expert malwares.
It's a lot like Grim. Grim's only got the two. He's got his Q and then his basic attacks. Well, then he's got his ultimate too, I guess. So maybe he's got a little 3, a little more than even Malware there. But another thing you guys said that throws me off, especially in a MOBA, because an ADC or a ranged hero has a certain range, and Skifter said that the arrows have drop off. Like, correct. At what range are these arrows going to drop off? Like, and how is that going to affect me? With my range, like, am I shooting a little kid's arrow? Like, okay, like I gotta aim high so I can hit this person. Like, how's that going to work? Like, because it's not like I'm trying to shoot across the map.
Yeah,
so it really makes me. It sounds weird.
It's hard to explain well, like without visual indicators of like this is exactly what it looks like, right? But it is something we're actively watching. The drop off is not going to be, it's not going to be instantaneous, right? That you're going to shoot an arrow and very quickly see it hit the ground, right? But it's finding what that balance is, because the longer he charges, it does increase his range. So it's finding a good balance with that.
Okay.
That will definitely show off more as Malware comes closer to release.
Now, do I get more for a headshot?
No.
You get
Bangu said that too, that he's
plane.
going to try and aim for the head more often than not, just out
Yeah,
of
'cause
muscle
it-
memory.
And if it's gonna drop, I mean, you might as well aim for the head. That way, you're at least hitting something.
Yeah, I think a lot of Hanzo muscle memory is going to kick in playing
Yeah,
playing
right.
malware. Then the other big thing you guys went over, we're not going to go over every single part of this, but it was the roadmap. This is something we've been asking for a lot of these games, is to have like a visible roadmap, and you guys did it really well. You've got short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals, and people can go in and it tells you when it's been updated, so you can go in at any time on their website and check to see what they're working on at the moment, which I think is really cool. I think a lot of these companies need to go this route more often. Jelly, what do you think are some of the more important short-term goals that people would be excited to see?
Playable tutorial, I think, is a big one. I don't know about excited to see necessarily, but I think it's a really important one to have. Oh goodness, there's a lot.
Is that short term? I thought that was on the midterm section.
No, playable tutorial is in short term.
Okay.
Like full player onboarding is in the future. So new player onboarding of all the mechanics that they're in. But we're gonna have cast settings, I think, is another big feature to help people, and with that will come new ability indicators showing what their ranges are, how to cast them, all those good things. The new characters, of course, are a big one. New map is a big one.
Controller support, right?
Cough.
I was just gonna say it, Mangoose.
What? Sorry.
Controller support, right?
Controller
Isn't that
support. Yes.
Yes.
That's another huge one. I mean, I think in my mind, because I put it together, they're all important, but I love all my children equally.
Yeah, I think certain ones are probably more important to some people than others, like better animations. A lot of people been looking forward to that. And then controller support and chat, definitely chat. That's the one that was my big bugaboo. Like if you can't communicate with your team, you got quite the issues.
I think the one that I'm the most excited for, just because I think it's going to be your biggest night and day difference that you're going to be able to see, is the mocap suit. Those little animations you'll be able to, when you guys start getting the mocap suit going, and then you'll be able to see those animations that change. I think that'll be a lot smoother and make the game look and feel more immersive.
Yeah, absolutely.
100% thought you were going with a night and day pun about their day-night cycle that's in like their midterm goals, I think.
No.
You keep me on my toes, Bearded. You keep me on my toes. Like a midget at a urinal. So I think that was about it for Ethereal, yeah?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it all. Definitely go check out the roadmap if you guys want to see what's all there, because there's a ton of stuff on short term.
And we covered the new map in the last For the Minions, so if you want to go back and watch that, or go to Undying Games' YouTube channel and check out that new map, it looks stunning. Bearded, what do you got to say about that new map before we roll on? Yeah, it's nice, right?
Beautiful. Yes. I can't wait.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, the ice lane now has snow on it. Looks like an ice lane. Fire lane burned out. All the trees are devoid of foliage and are kind of on fire and smoking, and the void lane just looks even prettier than it used to. So it's quite the change, and it's going to be really cool, and it should be available the next time it's tested. The play tests come out, which will be either March or April. Hopefully March, but probably April.
I just hope Dante has toe picks for the ice lane, so I'm not sliding around. I can hold still.
Wasn't it you that said, isn't this a Mario level? Right? We're going to, the ice mechanics of a Mario level, we slide around everywhere.
Like you go to take off, and you're just kind of spinning in place for a minute. Oh.
You got the boot slot. Maybe you have to buy spiked boots so you don't slide anywhere on that.
Yes.
It's the ice lane tax. You got to buy spiked boots.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
And then the fire lane, you got to buy fire boots so you're not burning up. If you don't buy fire boots, you just like small DOT happens to
you. They're made out of asbestos.
Small DOT adds to you.
You get a dot in it either way. Well, let's move away from Ethereal. Get into Fault. Lots of stuff coming out of Fault. We haven't even covered patch 15.1 on For the Minions, but they've already announced patch 15.2, and then probably we should knock this out real quick. Some kind of Valentine's special announcement was made on their Twitter. It looked like a Phases backpack was used for that. Now, Bearded, you know more of what you're allowed to say about this than I am. We're both Fault partners, but I completely missed my very first Fault partner meeting.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There's going to be a Valentine's Day event for Valentine's coming up. So it's when you're watching this, it's going to be happening very soon. This comes out on Friday. It's probably happening either then or Saturday. I don't know exactly the day it's happening, but there's going to be a Valentine's Day event that's going on. And what I will say is bring your friends. That's about all I can say as of right now, but stay tuned.
Make some friends if you don't have any, I guess. I'll be your friend.
There you go.
All right, then.
And
I'm sure I have lots of comments next week when I know what this is, because I have no idea. I have ideas now that you mentioned it, but
so patch 15.1, a few things got changed. They some fixes to Feng Mao, which the one I asked for, which is a decrease to the attack scaling to his shield. Jelly, I know you were like, as soon as you saw that it was like 100% of his attack power goes to his shield, you were like, what the actual? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So do you think 85% was enough? Because now it's 85% instead of 100%. Do you think that 15% drop was enough, or should it have been more?
I think on all of the nerfs, they played it very safe. I think every single one probably should have been more drastic than it was. His Q cooldown, okay, but it resets on kills, so means nothing in the grand scheme.
Right.
His right click 85 is a good change. I don't think it's enough. I think it probably should have gone down to closer to 70 if I was going to be pretty hard about it, and then maybe bring it back up. But the big one that I think is definitely not enough is his ultimate recast timer being lowered 5 seconds is nothing. That means absolutely zero to me. 15 seconds is still an eternity to recast an ability.
Yeah,
right?
that should have been halved at least.
Yeah, honestly, I would have said probably 7 seconds. Put it at 7 seconds. That is a decent amount of time to recast in the same fight, but you're not running from lane to lane with that and still having it up at the end of the day. And I can run from a side lane to mid lane in 15 seconds, especially with his Q. So it means nothing to me in the grand scheme. That needed to be way more harsh.
Yeah. And with as hard as he hits, it didn't take much to run to that other lane. And if they're missing just a smidge of health, hamstring auto attack, they're in execute range already.
Yep. And if you wind up with his shield beforehand and then you teleport in and then it blows up on them even more, then yeah, you set yourself up for complete success. These nerfs effectively were nothing.
Well, the only real danger there is they would probably die before you executed if you did all of that. Yep. Bearded, I know you're about as angry about Feng Mao as I am.
Yeah, no, he's definitely strong. I like the changes though, because before, when they made changes, they would just overshoot drastically, then they had to bring it back. And I would rather them take their time and find that balance. It's like, all right, we're gonna move steps in. All right, so I like every change they've made. I do agree, especially with his ultimate, 5 seconds wasn't enough. They should have halved it and then moved closer to that 7 that you were saying, Jelly. But I mean, the 15% on his shield, I like it. Yeah, let's see where it's at. Let's get the data points, and then let's move it back down, towards that 70 that Jelly was talking about. But everything else, again, the Q, it gets reset. Those both, the fact that he's got 2 abilities that reset on kills, like you could literally Q in on somebody, kill them, and then kill somebody with your ultimate, and now you can exit and get across lane like you were saying in that time, and then ult again on somebody else because you still have the time. Like you could literally travel. Like you might as well be Kalari with a global ultimate in a sense. I can get across there. Let's go. And it's just too much. I like the fact that like you maybe getting 2-3 kills with his ultimate if you're able to time it right and get everything going down. That would be cool. But the fact that he's like no offense, I'll call him out. Great guy, Terry Twister. We were gaming with him, and he almost had a penta. Like he was that close. He had a quadra, and then our boy Metis took the penta from him. And he said he's never had a penta before. If you've never had a penta before, play Feng Mao, because he's guaranteed you'll get a penta with, like, all you gotta do is understand how he plays. You'll get a penta. It's gonna happen
within a week, guaranteed.
Yeah.
You'll get a penta.
You know, I've never had a penta myself, but like I don't play Feng Mao, so I guess if I really want to say I've had one, I'll just play Feng Mao. You know, get a cheap, easy one. It needs to be changed, so it's, if you do get one, that's just because it was well played.
Mm-hmm. And I would rather they shift power away from his Q and his right click and put it more into his E, because I think Mangoose put it perfectly in his video that came out for Feng Mao, the honest Feng Mao review today.
Yes.
That his E, it's an ability. You could use it, right? Like,
you can do this. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. For what was a bread and butter ability for Feng Mao in Paragon, it is effectively the worst ability of his kit in this iteration. Yep. And that is terrible. His Q is more valuable. His right click is more valuable. There's just no reason to max his E or use his E in a lot of scenarios. And it needs more power, and they should shift power away from other things into that.
It applies a slow, but he doesn't need to slow anybody.
And it's in this bigger range, so it means nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's this weird ability.
And often using it will fuck up your, like, I'll get stuck in the cast animation, or I won't be able to basic attack afterwards. So it's like not even worth using the E a lot of times.
I remember when Feng Mao first came out, I was talking to Windu on his stream, and he was telling me, he's like, right click your max your right click first. And I was like, what? Why are you maxing your right click? And then I did it, and I was like, nope, that makes perfect sense, because E is useless. So there's no reason to max that first.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's odd.
I don't know. Yeah, he needs his fixes. I'm sure they'll come. Like Bearded said, I do kind of like that they're taking baby steps with it, not just nerfing him into the ground to where he's useless. They're going to, like, a controlled burn of his abilities a little bit. But yeah, I would have personally liked to have seen something a little bigger for as overpowered as he is. But
I was surprised to see, just because the way they've worked in the past, I was surprised to see that quick of a change to a new hero. Usually a new hero takes like 2 weeks before we get, like, they're out there for 2 weeks, so you've got to play them, you see what they're like, and then, you know, then they make those changes.
Yeah.
And I guess a little bit difference that they didn't do this time is before, you know, with the season pass, if you had the season pass, you would get that hero a week early, and then the rest of the, you know, community would get that hero. So maybe that's why they had that 2 week process. But I don't know. I was surprised to see that he got, you know, nerfed as quick as he did. But I was okay with that he got nerfed as quick as he did, because I didn't even get to play him before. I played him, but before I was just watching like Windu play. I'm like, yeah, he needs a nerf. I just watch him like, yep, this is. I'm like, this needs a nerf. Like it should not be this easy to do a lot of these things.
Heroes like Feng Mao are what make me glad that there is no season pass anymore, because people not having access to Feng Mao for a week would have driven folks fucking nuts.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
Like, a hero that you almost absolutely have to have when your team to win right now. Like, even still, like even after these nerfs. What's that?
He feels a lot like Morgesh did when she first came out in Paragon.
Yeah, yeah.
Where if you don't have Morgesh, you just lose. Congrats. Like, he's so mandatory, it's ridiculous.
It only took like a week for them to drop increase the mana cost of a lot of her abilities, just because she was insane. Like, Epic never changed anybody within a week. Morgesh, she got that changed pretty damn quick. I think Morgesh and Zinx were the two fastest changes I've ever seen Epic make. Okay. Zinx because she was underpowered, Mori because she was overpowered.
Yep.
What are you going to say?
What are you guys' thoughts on Fault when they release their heroes and how overpowered they are, and who where I'm going with this is I think Grux was their best released hero. Like, wasn't overpowered, was actually in a really good spot. Maybe needed some tweaks, but like it wasn't overtuned, and like it literally like felt good. Just, you know, had to find where he fit really well. The other ones is like you come out and it's like, what is this? You know, like FaZe came out really strong. Morgesh came out, you know, decently strong. Kalari was really strong, but Kalari was more of like that. People just need to learn how to play against her, but she still was strong. You know, Kalari's had the most nerfs as any hero in Fault. So like, She was a little strong, but
I mean, like people are obviously going to say that they do it to increase like the sale of skins and like all this stuff like that, but bullshit. Like we don't. if your game can't sell skins, don't fix that by introducing kits that are just way overpowered and having people love that hero for 2 weeks until they get nerfed into the ground. Yeah, I don't think that's I don't know why. I don't know why their fault is releasing heroes in such grossly overtuned states, because they really are. Like FaZe was grossly overtuned, like you mentioned. And it just I don't like it, and I don't know why they're doing it. I would understand why Epic did it. Not really. I wouldn't understand. I mean, I would get why they did it, but I still wouldn't like it. And I like it even less with Strange Matter. It shows more that they just can't balance during testing than anything else.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I completely agree with you, Mangoose. I think that idea of overpowered champion or overpowered hero sell skins is understandable why it exists in other MOBAs, right? 100%. Except Fault doesn't sell skins. Plain and simple. Fault doesn't sell skins. They don't come out with skins with these heroes that anybody's going, I need to buy that right now.
Right.
Right?
Not yet anyways, yeah. Right.
Yeah, most of their heroes come out are the epic asset skins, and if somebody wants them, the majority of Fault players at this point have enough currency that they can just buy the skin.
Yep.
And so it means they're not doing it to sell skins, or if they are, they don't understand why it's not working.
I never heard it makes sense, but I've always heard it as they're doing it to sell the hero. You know, because you don't have, not everybody has the heroes unlocked, right?
Same
thing. So
thing.
You have to buy it though. I mean, they have a lot of the currency to get it. I get it. You're right in that.
Not even currency. With that in mind, hero marks exist. Everyone is sitting on a stockpile of hero marks. They're literally, if they're trying to sell the hero, then they're massively failing at that too, because everybody's got a stockpile of hero marks.
Right. Which that was just a bug. That wasn't meant to be the way it is. That's the whole point of the hero marks. That it was meant to change every other one or whatever, but it just like, oh, like, here you go. Here's your skin mark. Oh no, it was a hero mark. All right. Here's your ward mark. Nope, that was a hero mark. Here's your, and it's like, and you get a hero mark, and you get a hero mark, and you get a hero mark.
But nobody gets a skin mark.
I'm only in like my 40s in terms of level in the game, and I had almost 100 hero marks. Now, partly I had the season pass before, so I didn't have to use any on the previous heroes.
Right.
So, but I had over 100 hero marks, and it cost 10 for Feng Mao. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But it's such a minuscule amount that it didn't even phase me to be like, oh yeah, buy. Like, no big deal.
Right.
Yeah. So the thing, I agree, Mangoose. It shows a lack of balance in testing. That they're just, it seems like they're in testing just to make sure that the kits work, and then they push them out. That concerns me further for Iggy and Scorch. That if Iggy and Scorch are going to come out, they are going to be either the most busted things on the planet or absolutely useless. And it's not going to be in between.
You don't want them to be useless. Like, I would rather them be overpowered like Feng Bao than be a completely useless hero that nobody picks up.
Yep. I completely agree.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're just erring on the side of caution that way.
That's a possibility.
But there's no way Feng Mao, we talked about this before with when they added patch 14, they added those arrows to tell you which lane to go in.
Right.
Those arrows last 10 minutes. There is no way someone didn't look at that and go, that should be shorter.
Yeah.
Right? And same thing with Feng Mao specifically. There's no way somebody in testing didn't look at him and go, 20 seconds on his ultimate reset is a little long.
Well, see, the arrows lasting 10 minutes, that's perfect time though, actually, because that's right when everybody FFs. So you know, at that point, how do you actually know it stops at 10 minutes? You've had a game go longer than that? I mean, that's I can't get a game last longer than 10 minutes. I'm always getting F1s.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm just too busy having it tell me to go to my red buff every game constantly for the first 10 minutes.
Not even testing too, though. Like, you could just read his kit and know that it was going to be fucked. Because you're like, oh, okay, so the shield explodes now when it expires, and 100% of my attack power buffs that shield? What? Like, I mean, even before you played him, you saw that Jelly and you were like, wait, that doesn't seem right.
Yep.
And yeah, it's not fucking right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts to me. Like this, okay. So I think about this too with his ultimate on paper, Mangoose. His ultimate at max level is an 80-second cooldown. Let's let it reset for 1/4 of its cooldown. What? Just give it a 60-second cooldown at that point, right? Like just take that quarter off, don't have it reset and let it be 60 seconds.
Yeah.
That's balanced. No, you wouldn't do that. So why does it have a 20-second reset timer? That's insane.
I don't know. Let's stop picking on old man Meow for a while. I want to talk about their changes to favor. So Fault, if you don't know, has the aspect system. You choose an aspect at the top of the game, and then you get favor points throughout, and you can choose what aspect to put your favor into. And they changed it around so that now red used to give attack power, now gives attack speed. Purple used to give physical penetration, and now gives attack power, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Yes.
And then for whatever reason, they made white aspect more powerful by increasing the amount of CDR you get from it, which I love, but was not necessary. But
I think it was.
You think so?
I think it was. I think supports need love. Supports aren't getting the love that they need, and they're getting that cooldown boost because, like, just for a support to get enough CDR, I mean, especially if you're not enough favor or whatever to add into it to get that CDR, you have to prioritize Raptors, and if you're not getting Raptors, you're not getting that CDR or the points that go to it. So
I then ask
that
you,
extra.
Is that a white aspect problem or is that a support gold generation problem? Because
why would
because
gold?
With more gold to the supports, they can afford their items to get that power. So is it actually a white aspect problem? And I don't play support. I can't answer this question. Right? I don't know what Mangoose. I hear you complain all the time about gold generation on support. So I would defer to you on this one.
They actually fixed a lot of the gold generation on supports with. I didn't put it in the notes, but they did fix the starter items for supports. You got the bangle, which gives you extra gold drip, and you can execute a minion and it gives you the amount of gold to both you and the carry, and it heals. And then you've got the other one, the Scry Stone, that gives you gold drip, and every time you attack an enemy hero, basically, you get a stack of gold, and it stacks up to, has 3 stacks that you can consume. They made that upgrade automatically after you get a certain amount of gold, and for me, after playing support after this patch, after 15.1, feels a lot better just because of that, because you get increased gold drip after it upgrades. So throughout the game. And then my other thing, yes, gold has been a problem in Fault, but for the most part, aside from the armor issues, like there needs to be they need to figure out some way to give supports higher armor at lower levels, so you're not just getting melted trying to protect your ADC. But for the most part in Fault, whenever I fail as a support, it feels like I got outplayed, not that I wasn't powerful enough. It feels like I have the tools I need to succeed, and when I don't succeed, it feels like it's because I didn't use my tools well, not that I didn't have the tools there. With the only exception being playing a tanky hero like Richter or Steel getting melted, which they have been slowly addressing that issue and making it a little bit better.
So if they're fixing the support items to auto upgrade, and then because of that, you're getting more gold faster, and that feels good, is the white aspect change just a double buff then in that case?
Kinda.
That to me, and I only bring that up because if we're going so slowly on the Feng Mao side of things, why are we double buffing the supports at the same time, right? Like, why? We need to have the consistency of, if we're going to buff something, slowly bring it up to a good point, or if we're going to nerf something, slowly bring it down, or do drastic changes one way or the other.
Well, the white aspects it went from 1.5 CDR per aspect point to 2 CDR. So it was a 0.5 increase, which is, I mean, it ends up being substantial, but
yeah, if you actually get a full game instead of F1s, you can get 20 CDR out of that, right? Like
they made the Raptor now gives 4 favor to the entire team.
Points. Yep.
Which is good, because the Raptor used to be not worth taking within the first 10 minutes of the game. Like, it was more beneficial to just let the other team get raptors and push out and get all the gold from your lanes while they're dicking around with the raptor pit and maybe get a kill on them, one of them while they're low or something like that. But like, I think Sockap said it best. Raptor it was only worth taking if it was completely free. Like,
Yep.
if you knew for certain that nobody was going to come in and mess with you while you were taking that raptor, that was the only time it was worth taking. Now it's a little more worth taking because they increased that favor to 4.
Yep. Yeah, now it's a lot like Prime in a sense that you need to get a pick and then go. You know, it's because it's still not worth dying over, but you need to get that pick before you end up going in there. You know, it's not, you don't want to go sit in pit, you know, in Raptor pit and like wait for them to get there and then like, all right, now let's get a team fight going and then hope that you're able to get out on top. You know, you literally, you know, if you have to rotate mid lane, you know, get that pick mid lane and then go in, you know, that way, you know, your team's not going to rotate, the other team's not going to rotate on you. That's the way you need to do it. But you do need to prioritize it. I had a game last night. We lost. We because we went down 5-0 on Raptors. My team wasn't rotating to get Raptors, you know, and I called it out a few times. You know, I was trying to get over there a few times. I died because I was trying to get over there with the, you know, but it's like we need to get Raptors. So you can't. The enemy Sparrow had 32 favor points to my, you know, 16 or something like that. No, I didn't think I had 16. I had 10. Yeah, I had 10 because she had 22 CDR on me. Not CDR. Sorry, 22. Wrong favor point. 22 attack speed on me, and a Sparrow with more attack speed. Okay, so yeah, it hurt.
Let's move on from the favor and talk about ADC rework. It wasn't really an ADC rework. They redistributed the power level of ADCs so that their scaling is better, but they start out smaller. So they're less powerful early game, more powerful late game, which ADCs have been in a rough spot for a while, but I still think this was a necessary change. Like, I think this is how ADCs are supposed to be. And I think this is one of the few things where Fault, I mean, it's not one of the few things. There's a lot of things that Fault has a leg up on with Predecessor, but this is probably the main one that I think is going to stand out to people if they play both games. Predecessor ADC's early game will fucking destroy you. Like 3-4 hits and you're gone. And that's stupid. That doesn't happen in any other MOBA. You never have an ADC that's that goddamn strong in the early game, and it makes for uninteresting gameplay, I think. Whereas Fault is kind of balancing it out to where you're not going to get absolutely destroyed. If you make a mistake and step up too far, then yeah, the ADC still has that enough power to take you out. But it's I think the redistribution of power was a good thing for Fault's ADCs. But I'm not an ADC main. I'm a support guy. Bearded, you're an ADC main. What do you think about it?
It was definitely needed. It was definitely needed. I mean, you say it was a buff late game, and it technically is, but it's literally only 0.22 damage, you know, more than what you would normally have. When I did all the math on it, so all the ADCs across the board got 0.22 more damage at level 18. But I think this is also added to, this is more of, 15 and then 15.1. They've been making changes to try to stop people from taking range off lane. And this is one of those things, like now early on, that range character is not going to be able to do as much damage to that melee character because I think there was also a change to the melee output too, wasn't there? In the same patch, or there was something done with melee?
No, it was the starter items, Titan Book and Titan's Armor. You get 5 more attack against.
That's what it was.
Minions.
That's what it was. Yep. Okay. Yeah, all the starter, because even the ADC starter items did that, but it was only versus. Yeah, there was a change, but yeah, it was all because of range off lane, and I do agree that it needed to happen because I hate seeing range off lane, and I'm an ADC main. Like I'm like, let me stay in my lane.
Jelly, what are
I
your
don't
thoughts?
Too much for that off lane, because that was the thing that we've got the ADC main, right? We've got Mangoose as the support main, and then me, who plays a lot of off lane, right? That is the most frustrating thing, is you're playing Greystone and going into a Murdoch, and you're just gonna lose that 9 times out of 10. And this applies a difference that there's actually a reasonable expectancy it could go either way, instead of just feeling really one-sided.
I remembered. Bale armor. The change to bale armor is also a change to help with that that off lane, that range off lane, because you're able to melt your minions faster when you put that bale armor. And then when you melt your minions faster, or the enemy minions faster, your minions are going to be going against that. You know, it's going to be a lot harder to fight in a sea of minions.
Yeah.
Than it, yep.
Let's move on to, so they've talked a little bit about patch 15.2, and they released 2 new map images, which I personally didn't see a lot of changes. Bearded noticed a very significant change, probably the most significant change. But Jelly, what changes did you notice?
I didn't.
Yeah, that same here. I was like,
honestly,
well, there's like some lily pads in the river now, and like
that to me,
the fact that there is a river now.
Well, so yeah, that is a big one, right? And I saw the water thing.
Fault's been the driest game there is, and now it's.
In my head, the river always existed, so I did notice it. I think it's a good thing to have, right? They've got the water on both sides, on the side lanes now, and now they're connecting it through, theoretically. I think for this, because they did such a massive map update in 14, they probably should have given a side-by-side of the actual before and after.
Yeah, that would make a good one.
If it was pre-14 to this, 100% there's a difference. No question there. Post-14, sure. Yeah, like Mangus and I didn't notice anything Bearded did. Sure, yeah, there's changes, I guess. I don't know.
Yep. I think some of the grass is looking better. I think they're also making changes. I think what we're seeing here is better optimization. You know, with these pictures, I think that's the whole point of sending it out there. But the biggest change that I seen, and maybe there's more that I just didn't see. I'm maybe in the same boat with you guys when it comes to that. But the biggest change is that fog wall for that elbow. Now you got a fog wall coming out there that now you can hide back there and not be seen. It makes ganks a little more easier, and more sentry wards are needed in those elbows now for sure.
Big fan of that change. Big fan. I always try to run through there and then get seen, and I'm like, oh well, now I've got the awkward like run back to my side of the jungle.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was definitely a jungler buff and a like a kind of a buff to the aggressor aspect that gives you a movement speed when running through fog walls. What I want to see now though is people not being used to having the movement speed coming around that corner and going straight under tower, and then I can laugh at them.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it looks good. Like the river looks good. I don't know. Is there no water right now? Like I don't even notice that. Like there was water there for a little bit, and I guess it's gone, and it's just a craggly.
There was even water there for a little bit.
Rock bed.
I think there's only water on those side things, but not anything past that.
Huh. Oh well, it'd be good to have.
I'm really hoping, like you said, Bearded, that this. There's a lot of optimization coming with this, because adding water into your level can very easily screw your optimization.
Yeah,
right.
And with our past track record, I'm a little nervous about it.
Right. No, there's people in Gen Chat that were saying that. It's like, oh, great, we're adding more things. So that means optimization is going to be a lot, even worse now, you know. And it's like, but I don't know. I don't know. I side more on the benefit of the doubt side of it. Like they saw what they did with 14, they saw what happened. Like, all right, now if we're gonna add any more, it's all gonna be with fixes as well, you know. And here we go, you know, like with I hope 15.2 also brings that damn fix for that fucking Dawn side inhibitor fucking ledge that you get stuck in. You know, that one that needs to get fixed. That's not just a quality of life. That's like literally almost game breaking when you're stuck there.
When
like,
I
all
saw
right, sweet, I'm trying to get away. Like, okay, I'm just dead.
When I saw this tweet, like I held my tongue because I didn't want to be that guy, but my immediate thought was, cool pictures, bro. Now fix that fucking ledge around the inhibitors, because oh my god, is that frustrating when you get killed because you can't escape your own tower.
Yeah.
And then you finally get over that, and you're like, oh, thank God, heading to the fountain, and you get stuck on the stairs. It's like, oh, God damn it.
Yep. No, I agree.
And there's a lot of little places on Fault right now where you got some weird little edges that catch you. Like a little thing sticking out the bottom of the wall that you don't see but you get caught on.
And when in doubt, Mangoose will find all of them.
Goddamn right I will, and then I will scream.
We've jokingly mentioned for Ethereal that we need to bring Mangoose in to test the new map specifically so he can find all of those things to bump his knees on. We can delete them all.
Wait, is no one else bumping their knees like I do at Ethereal? Because you're goddamn right. I bump my knees all the time at Ethereal.
People do, but you're just the one that's the most vocal about it. So.
I feel like Mangus is that guy that walks around a truck and then bangs his shit on the hitch on the back.
That's why I got shins like a Muay Thai fighter.
That's why we're a good pair, Mangoose. I've got JellyKnees and you've got shins of iron, so we'll be fine.
Let's go play some Shaolin soccer. All right, I think that's about it for Fault. Unless you guys had anything else you wanted to share?
No, I'm excited to see what this weekend's about.
Hell yeah, sure. Cool beans. I hope we get a Cupid Sparrow. Predecessor, or not Predecessor, Overprime. So we didn't have anything from Overprime, which is kind of odd. We did, like, in their streamers only chat, they did say, hey guys, hold tight, we're going to have updates coming soon, because people are freaking out because we didn't get an update this week, and which I think speaks better of them than anything else, actually, that we're actually surprised that we didn't get anything out of them. Like, everybody else has definitely gone weeks or even months sometimes, or several months in Pred's case, without like any updates whatsoever. This is the first time we haven't had anything from Overprime in quite a while, and a little sad, but it's okay.
Right.
I'm fine with it. They take a week off. I don't care.
Like Windu says when we do the partner panel, is he talk about being spoiled, and I think that's a lot like that's what's happened with Overprime in that regard. Is like we've all been seeing there was like even the work in progress pictures, like here you go, here's work in progress, just a little something. And like now we didn't even get that, so like we're like almost spoiled. What was that, Pavlov's dogs? Like we're just like sitting there like waiting, like, and then it's not happening. Like, well, wait a minute, I was supposed to get a treat. Why didn't I get a treat? Like what happened? Did I do something wrong? Am I fault for this? Like, so like that's kind of like what's going on here.
No. Right? How it works is it's a seesaw between Predecessor and Overprime. You can have one news from the other, but you can't get them both. Okay, you gotta pick which one you want, and that's all it is.
Did you say Nabori's Bumblebee?
Don't with your crazy story. Go ahead and tell the people what you came up with. They're bearded with the community manager storyboard. Why don't you go ahead and tell them that? You can't even say it right now, can you?
The community manager storyboard. All right. So Ryan Red saw a bumblebee with tiger stripes that stung Nabori and gave him JellyKnees.
If you guys don't know who the community managers are, that made zero sense whatsoever. That he just said all of their names. Okay, so Overprime, just in general, did you guys have anything you wanted to say about Overprime?
Excited to see what's next.
Yeah, excited to play it again.
I'm excited to see the changes that they make. I mean, because we had the closed beta testing, and there was a lot of input and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what they come out with and the changes that they've made based off of the stats that they got from the closed beta testing.
Yeah, and they did make an announcement last week, and we covered it last week about how the stuff that they learned that they are going to be working on, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it for Overprime? We're going to move along to the poll. The poll results, So what happened with the poll was the votes were going in correctly, but they weren't being displayed properly, which for some reason put Fault way ahead. And I don't want to disparage Fault, but you don't go from like 11% to fucking 52% in 1 week. So I knew that there was a problem with the poll. Mono worked on it, and he discovered the problem. He also, I think, fixed the problem with people not being able to vote on their phones. But the poll for this week, that's the other thing. This really drove people out in droves to vote. Is 569 votes. Predecessor with 52% of the vote. Overprime with 21%. Fault with 11%. And Ethereal with 16%. So that is the official poll for this week. I know a lot of people were losing their minds. Like, what the hell is going on?
Where, if you know this, because I didn't see it, where was Overprime before the closed beta testing compared to Predecessor?
They were about 18. They hovered between like 18 and 20% on average.
Sometimes like 9%. Like they started out really low, and then as they started releasing more information, they've slowly gained ground.
I was surprised in that case. I'm surprised to see that they stayed as where they're at, just because of the difference of what Overprime is compared to the rest of the other three. Sorry, MOBAs. I just feel like with the other three being more of that MOBA style, and Overprime kind of having it's a MOBA arena, but it's more of a brawler style speed, what's going on, and the death ball situation you got going on, it's quite different, and that's kind of where they're going for. I understand it. Maybe a little change is going to be make it not as bad like that, but I was surprised to see them, with us being a MOBA community, I was surprised to see that they stayed as
popular.
Popular. There we go. Good word.
I think the thing is, what's keeping Overprime really in it is their work and proof towards console release, towards that PS5. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that care about how the game plays. There are a lot of people that care about this and that. But a vast majority of the Paragon player base doesn't give a shit. They want something on console that has the old Paragon heroes and a map that's similar. They could give a shit less about gameplay loop and animations and appearance and the item system and all that shit. They want their old heroes, and they want to play them with a controller on a goddamn console. That's what they want. So, and that's what
surprised? Are you surprised to see that their votes didn't go higher with their names? How good they are with names?
Oh shit! I think that's what is keeping them below.
Pred.
Yeah. That's, if they would rename their heroes, they can skyrocket above Pred. But everybody's like, Scott, Kayla.
Yeah.
Now that one can stay. That one's fine.
So I understand their name change of what they're doing. I get what's going on, because this was like a Netflix, short series or whatever that's supposed to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's literally the characters we know we played. Mm-hmm. We've all played, and you can play him in Predecessor as that same name character. You can play him in Fault as that same name character. And then if you want to play Overprime, it's going to be a different name character, but the same character. Like it just really throws you off. It's like no, like it kind of is like, what? No, this is Steel. It's not Scott.
There's another aspect of it that I don't think we've talked about, is the searchability, right? Because if you've got that benefits, and maybe this is why Overprime is doing it, because they're arguably one of the bigger of the three Paragon successors.
Yeah.
Is that if somebody types in Polari build, right, there is the potential that Predecessor shows up, Fault shows up, and Overprime shows up. So you've got inherent searchability in your game. If somebody's looking for Predecessor, that it could show up, Fault could show up. And so Fault is now potentially getting a new player because of that.
Right.
Right. And so but that's a double-edged sword. If your Fault player is looking up a Polari build and Predecessor comes up, your Fault player may jump to Predecessor at the same time because they've now learned about this other game that has the same character, yada, yada, yada. So it's a double-edged sword for Overprime to change the names, because they lose that searchability, but they also gain unique searchability that the others can't capitalize on by the same token.
Do they really lose that searchability, though? Because myself, and I think every other content creator I know, whenever you're putting a title in there, it's like, you don't just put Scott. You put Scott in quotation marks in Steel gameplay. You know what I mean?
I think right now you're doing that because the community, that's where the community's at. But let's say 3 years down the line, when Overprime has been out for a while and this name is now here, this is the name now, and that's what everybody knows. Because if you go 3 years down the line, if you go in there and you get on comms with somebody, all right, I'm picking Steel, and that person doesn't even know what Paragon even is, they're like, who's hold up? Is that a new hero? Yeah. Who's Steel? Oh, sorry, Scott. Then you're gonna, that's where that name's gonna. You're gonna take that also known as off. It's no longer gonna be also known as. It's just gonna be Scott.
And with their IGN trailer hitting as big as it did, there certainly have players that played the open weekend that did not play Paragon.
Right.
Correct.
to that same thing of you putting in, they'll look up Scott build and they'll be like, who's Steel? What is this?
Yeah.
Why is this, why is Steel in this title? Right. And so it's like I said, it's that double-edged sword of both things. You lose the searchability, but you also gain unique searchability at the same time.
Right.
All right. I think that's about it for the poll. You guys ready to get to the discussion topic?
Let's do.
I'm ready.
Let me refresh my coffee. I will be right back.
Oh.
All right. So for this week's topic for discussion, one of the things that when people first find out, they're like, "Oh shit!" There's like somebody's recreating Paragon, and then they're like, "Oh wait, somebody else is too. What? Somebody else is too. What's this Ethereal thing? That's a third. What the fuck?" They always say like, "Why don't they just all combine and pull their talents to make one great game?" Which we all know is never ever going to happen. But we're going to play some make believe here, a little pretend times. And we're going to kind of cherry pick features from each game that we would like to see combined into one massive product, which would be quite cool. I think it's going to be a little interesting to see what we would want from Ethereal, because Ethereal is just so out there and different. It's not a parazombie at all. It's like its own goddamn thing. But yeah, I think this will be an interesting exercise nonetheless. Would anybody like to go first? Does anybody have a feature in mind?
I'll go first, 100%.
Here we go.
I think, and we talked about it with malware, I think Ethereal's character designs are something that I would pull and put into another one of these games if I was combining them, right? Having not just like the risk reward ability or the class abilities, but the unique basic attack potential, like something like malware's.
I totally agree. And like having the ability to fly, having the ability to destroy parts of the environment or scale walls, and that could be placed into the Paragon heroes as well. You could import the Ethereal heroes, have them with the Paragon heroes, but like Kalari, give her the ability to scale walls. You know, give Muriel the actual ability to fly around and shield people, and that sort of thing. Could you imagine Grux busting through a rock and then landing a pull? That would be fucking amazing.
Terrifying. But yes, right? Amazing too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that goes with what I said with Ethereal. I wanted the ambition. You know, Ethereal's ambition, you know, and that really ties in with what the flying, the climbing, you know, busting through the rocks. That literally fits in with their ambition. I want Ethereal's ambition with what I like to call a Parastine.
What?
Nope.
Parastine. Nope. Frankenstein.
Oh,
nope. It's a Paragon. It's a Parastine, not a parazombie.
But Frankenstein was the scientist.
Right, but it's his monster.
It was Frankenstein's monster.
So it's really Parastine's monster. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Pick any Halloween costume of anybody as Frankenstein's monster, and you're going as Frankenstein.
Yeah, I think Ethereal's ambition definitely needs to be seen in some of these games. Overprime is pulling it off a little bit, but they all say that they want to be different from Paragon. They want to fix what went wrong. Blah blah blah. They don't put their money where their mouth is. They need to, but they don't put their money where their mouth is. Except Overprime does a little bit, but nobody comes near.
They have so much money that it kind of just goes where their mouth is. It's kind of like piled up to here. Like, I don't know. Okay. Can you see me? I'm trying to talk to you.
They're not. Overprime is putting their fixes where their mouth is, I guess. But like Ethereal is just so out there and so different and so crazy, and I mean that's why they're not beholden to the structure of Paragon, because they're not a parazombie, which has been amazing to see.
Right.
Yeah. If anything, the 3 parazombies are all different points of Paragon's existence that they all just took and ran with. I think something I would definitely pull from Overprime, though, I guess 2 things, now that I think about it. Their weight. Like the weight of when you cast things, when you do things, basic attacks, abilities, whatever it is, it just feels impactful. And I think that's something that all of the other games are missing right now, is that weight behind it. And then also their skin design team, I would literally import to any of these companies in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
The skins is what I put. I mean, that the skin designs that they have are insane. You know, able to see those on the closed beta testing was crazy. That Sevarog skin, oh my gosh.
So good. Demorius, thank you.
And the whole, like, from concept to actual finished product too, like, The concepts are just super cool. And then they actually turn them into reality. And oh man, yeah, their skin team is great. What I would pick from Overprime though, this is going to be a little controversial. I absolutely loved having all of my abilities right off the rip.
Oh.
You know, except for the ultimate, of course. But I love that. I've always wondered why MOBAs don't do that. I always wondered why they make you choose which ability to level up. It makes just a pain in the ass at the beginning. It doesn't really provide that much of a tactical advantage. The only advantage it provides is if you hold which ability until you know whether you're going to get ganked or not. So as soon as you get ganked, you unlock your movement ability and then move out. And it's kind of a double-edged sword because, yeah, it did encourage junglers to gank a little earlier than normal, but it also gave the people in lane the tools they needed to defeat that gank a little better. So I just thought that was an overall cool change to dispense with this whole having to unlock abilities and just go straight into leveling up which one you think is going to be the most beneficial.
Yeah. How into this do you want to get? Because I kind of want to ask you that question. Like it fits Overprime in their speed and how fast they want the game to go. But if you put that into a Predecessor or Ethereal or even Fault, and they want the game to last longer, by doing what you're saying, you're like that's not going to help that game last longer. So how would you change that?
I actually have an idea for that I thought of while Mangoose was talking about it.
Okay.
Is you go a step further, which sounds weird to combat the issue of having them all, right? But you go a step further in that you completely remove the aspect of leveling your abilities. You start out with your core abilities, and at whatever level you want to unlock the ultimate, that automatically unlocks. So it just happens. But however many levels you have in your game, you extend each ability levels up at the same time, just gradually over each level of your character.
So it scales.
So you make them scaling just attached to your character level instead of ability level necessarily. And that would help slow down the game because they're not scaling as hard as fast, while allowing you to also still keep that feeling of unlocking your abilities early and often and getting that going forward.
But wouldn't that in turn scale your abilities faster? Because technically when I level up is when I'm able to then level up my ability, but I'm only able to level up one ability. Now all my abilities are leveling up.
Yes, but because it's over a longer period, the power level is not nearly as strong at the same points.
Okay.
Because instead of doing
every level, you're getting it. Okay.
And so let's say each level of your Q gives 100 damage. Right? If you have 4 levels of your Q, that's an extra 400 over the first 4 levels of the game if you stack them all straight in.
Right.
But over 20 levels, that is only 20 damage, whatever it is. Right? Over the entirety of the game. So it will slow down that power. So no one ability becomes... You can't just stack all of your power into one ability and do 600 damage off the cuff at level 5 because you upgraded that ability first. So it does stretch it out just a hair in that regard.
Okay.
So I still like having the decision point of putting levels into abilities and leveling up abilities. I just liked having them all unlocked off the rip. But yeah, that would be my takeaway from Overprime. Aside from the skins, I think that's the fucking obvious one from Overprime is the the skins and the skin design. Predecessor, what I would take from Predecessor is their attention to detail. Like they have recreated that Paragon experience so well with their field of view and the way everything looks, feels, and plays, and just like the zoom out whenever you're casting an ability. Like they nailed it. Like Smokey especially worked with the community to make Predecessor at least feel as much like Paragon as possible. And it's that incredible attention to detail is what is putting Predecessor above the others as far as popularity. Maybe not in gameplay because we don't know, we haven't been able to play it, but in popularity, Predecessor definitely has the lead over everybody else, and I think it's that detail. What would you guys take from Pred?
Mine was similar to yours. It's just the smoothness, how the game feels. Literally, like you cast an ability, it's there. You're just running around the map. You just everything feels smooth. Everything looks smooth. You know, it's great. That's what I want from them is the smoothness that they were able to put into a game.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I think Predecessor hits all those nostalgia buttons for me, right? Like it's one of those things, and that's not like a necessarily just because I miss Paragon, but it's just a feel. Like it just feels good to play like Paragon did, and that's why it hits those points for me. And so I think definitely the feeling overall of Predecessor is definitely something to take.
What about Fault? What would you guys take from Fault?
Favor system.
Oh, okay.
No, that was mine. The aspect and favor system, 100%.
No. Whoa.
Oh, I'll turn your mind around. I'm gonna blow your goddamn mind, Jelly.
No, I mean their favorite system right now, like it's they're making changes to it but the idea of it behind it and where they're gonna be with it, I like their favorite system, and especially Sylphan even came out and said that the goal is to have it be hero based, like your favor is going to be different based on whatever hero you have. Like it's going to change, and that's going to be that's going to feel nice as well. I'm excited to see what they do with that. But yeah, their favor system, I like what they do with it because it makes, for me, I've always been a team player game, like a team player in games, and I don't go out and play God of War. I'm not a solo player guy. So the fact that the favor system is literally putting points in team objectives, makes the game play. You can't just go in there and just run down solo lane because you want to be solo. Like it literally, for you to win the game, you guys got to play as a team. You guys got to get the team objectives. You got to get prime. You got to do this, and the points that you get for it, the benefits you get for it. I really enjoy the favor system.
All right. And my reason for liking the aspect and favor system is it gives you adaptive customization the same way that Paragon's cards did. Like, I was thinking about a lot about this today. The main reason I loved the card system in Paragon was because you took an end item card and then you adapted what stats you slotted into that card. Like, I think it was Thorned Greenweave would give you, I think, energy armor, but you could put energy power, health, or energy armor into that card. So that card could give you any of those stats. And depending on the game, like I had it set up with 5 different cards for that one, which, they only had 3 slots. But if I was getting beat up and I needed that extra health or that extra armor, that's what I would put into my Thorn Greenweave. If I was ahead, I could put that, like I was barely just away from finishing people off, I could put that power into the Thorn Greenweave, and it was adaptable like that. And that's the way that you can use the aspect system in Fall. I don't think it's the way a lot of people do use it, but I think a great example, I've been playing Morgesh a lot, trying to learn how to play her really well in Fall, and I take Beastmaster, which is a green aspect. I think is a really great one to take on pretty much anybody, and then I take another aspect from the blue, which is Queen. But anyway, Queen, if you put points into that, you get was it Energy Pen? Is it Energy Pen or Energy Power?
Energy Power.
Yeah. For putting points in the blue. But if you put points in the green, you get health. I kind of discovered this by accident. I was accidentally putting points into my green aspect, but I was up against the Countess, and it proved to be the difference between just getting deleted by a Countess or surviving the Countess and deleting her. Because I had that extra health that I had put in. Now, if it was a different game and I was up against somebody that's not going to melt you immediately like Countess, I could instead take those favor points, put it into that blue aspect, have more power so I could deal more damage. So it's kind of, the aspects offer you that unique customization that you got from the Paragon card system, just without the Paragon card system. It is a little dependent on your team and how your team plays, but you do get favor of your own by, just completing tasks within the game, getting a certain amount of minion kills or hero kills or what have you. So
right. And to even add on to yours real quick, sorry, Jelly, is that situation like all right, early game, let's say early game, you're getting melted by the Countess, so you put your points into your Beast Hunter, and then you get health from there. But then later on, your team starts scaling, and you guys start winning team fights. So then now because of that, you got ahead of the the Countess. So now you can start putting points into your power, and you can start doing power to help your team more late game as well. So you can kind of make that adjustment mid game, because of however the game's playing, or vice versa. Maybe you were winning early game, but now all of a sudden she got fed from whatever, and now you need to start getting health. So you can start putting points into health, to kind of help you, make that change into late game as well.
Jelly, what do you got to say?
First, what do you want to take from fault before you argue against all of this? Because you have yet to say what you're doing.
That lightly, because if I go into that, it'll be a whole thing. I think the aspect system by itself is a very good thing. It's the summoner spell, it's the familiar primary spell concept, but in a much more succinct format that everybody has access to, and it benefits people in different ways. That being the initial aspect you pick at the beginning of the game. Favor system, I completely disagree on, but that's a whole other topic. From what I would take from Fault is their home screen since patch 14 is one of the best I've ever seen, honestly. And I mean that when you go into game and the portal opens up and you go into the portal. When you're in hero select, and your hero's there and it zooms out and then you go through the doors onto the map. Like, those aspects of it are so nice, it's ridiculous. Like when patch 14 came out, I was blown away by that, because that was something I felt like I've never seen before in a MOBA, where it felt connected. It felt like everything I was doing was all part of the one conglomeration that I've never felt before in another game. So I think that would by far be what I would take from Fault. In addition, right, if we're combining the games, Fault is the only one with permanent uptime, so I'm gonna scooch that in there as well, and say that
the permanent uptime in there.
There you go. With that home screen though, one thing that I want them to do, and I think would be better, is a lot like Paladins, right? When you pick your team on Paladins, you get like you see your team, the actual characters of the whoever they picked. Like all right. Mangus picked Steel and you picked Rux, and then I got my guy front and center, right? And then show that, and then do that, zoom out, and you see all 5 of your teams sitting there, and then have the camera, shoot through that door. Just because it just show. I think that'd be, then instead of just being your character and only you there, show the whole team there, and then you guys, it's almost like you guys are going to war. Like, here we go, let's go.
Yeah, emphasizing that teamwork aspect of it in a very subtle, nice way. I completely agree.
Yep. You're the kind of guy that you hand you a cookie and you're like, where's the chocolate chips? No, I'm just kidding.
I hate sugar cookies. Like, give me a chocolate chip. I'd rather have a chocolate chip cookie.
That is a cool aspect of Fault. And I think that speaks a lot towards Fault's progress, that they're able to add nice to have shit into their game, as opposed to only having to add need to have shit, because everybody else is on they need to add this for the game to be good, Fault, they've got most of everything's in there. Like, they need to tweak it and balance it and work with it and play with it a little bit. But like, they're in a position where they can, spend a little bit of time on some of the quality of life improvement, nice to have stuff like that home screen.
Something else I would pull from Fault, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is cast settings, because they're the only game with actual cast settings across the board.
Yeah, true.
And that is a huge thing for me, because I smart cast everything or instant cast everything. And so Pred doesn't have that at all, drives me up a wall. Overprime had that intermittently. Ethereal has it intermittently, right? And so I want it all or nothing. Give me the settings, please, God.
I don't have the IQ for smart cast, so I got to keep it on standard.
You dumb cast?
This guy. I even smart cast on Gideon. Like, seems super dumb to have like his Brock on smart cast where you just don't get a targeting reticle at all. But it's a lot like Gadgets Seek and Destroy. It always goes where you want it to. I don't know why. But if you like, I miss so many rocks when I have that reticle. If I don't have the reticle and I just cast where I think it's going to go, it almost always hits where I want it to. Does it always hit the hero? No, but it always hits where I wanted it to. I thought it was going to hit the hero.
You know what I need? I need AI cast settings. So then on Murdoch's ult, I can put on AI cast, and just every ult is perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
And as soon as anybody comes anywhere near you, you immediately spin, push them away, and then go right back to what you were doing.
Right.
Fucking AI Murdoch, man. Here's a question. If you could pull from just any other game out there, an aspect from any game, and include it in your I don't want to call it a Palestine because it sounds like Palestine for some reason. I don't want people to think we're talking about Israel and Palestine. This isn't that kind of podcast. We're talking about fucking video games here, not world peace. But your Frankenstein to Parazombie, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Is there any aspect from any other game that you would pull in? I obviously just thought of one, and that's why I'm putting this out here right now. So if you want me to go first, I can.
Thanks.
But if
Please.
you have one,
yeah, go ahead and go first. Maybe I'll give you a moment to think.
I pull, as I always do, from Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm, your experience. Well, it's actually they don't have gold, so all of your economy comes from the same place. But anyway, I think it's shared experience. Like, everybody shares the experience from a minion that's killed. It doesn't matter if you're on this side of the map, that side of the map. If your guy over here kills a minion, you get the experience down here. The entire team stays the same level and gets the same amount of experience. I would like to see that, but I would like to see gold stay the way it is so that you can have somebody that you can feed into and give better items and such. But see, the thing that why that is good in Heroes of the Storm is everybody has to go to a lane. Like, you can do like a coordinated gank right off the bat, but you're going to lose experience for your entire team every time you leave your lane, and every time a minion dies and you're not around, you're losing experience for your entire team. So it's a built-in mechanic to prevent deathballing. So I really like that in Heroes of the Storm. I'd like to see that brought into Paragon, but I would still like to see the gold stay the way it is, because you do need to have some way to boost certain characters over another. That's like just an essential sort of MOBA thing. But yeah, I think experience should be shared just across the board to keep people in their fucking lanes during the laning phase and make it more meaningful. Stay in
your lane, bro.
Make every minion wave a little more meaningful to the entire team. And that would make like Raptor a meaningful objective, because you're giving up all that experience to take Raptor. It better be goddamn be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I mean, I didn't when you first said it, I'm like, oh, whoa, what? No, I don't want like. But I mean, I'm all about stopping the death ball meta that goes on. So anything to help that out, I'm definitely okay with that.
Yeah,
and I think Mangus, with that, you solved one of my biggest gripes with that system, is the kind of equality aspect across the board of it. Is there's no becoming like the character for your team because you're all together, right? And so even if you're dominating, your whole team is equally creeping up there. You're not necessarily crazy strong over anyone else on your team, and that to me feels bad, because doing all the work, you should feel rewarded for that. And to me, that's my biggest issue with Heroes of the Storm, is that is less prevalent. But if you have gold separated from that and actually do gold that way, you can keep it then you have an item system where you can feel that strength, but your team is still cooperatively helping each other at the same time. So I think that's a great aspect to add in there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, I think.
The one that I thought of as you started that, and it's kind of cheating to an extent because it's from Paragon, is their original card system minus the loot box. And that's adding in that you can come into the game with a bunch of preset decks for your hero and say, this game I want to go like a tanky bruiser build, or this game I want to go glass cannon, or this game I want to do whatever, and have your own item shop to choose from. Because the rock paper scissors aspect of that for across your team and across the enemy team adds another layer of complexity and fun, at least for me, to look at and be like, oh, they took this card that game. Okay, so now I should think about taking this card from my deck accordingly to match up against that, or to counter that, or whatever it is. The downside of that system in Paragon was the loot boxes to get the cards.
Yeah.
And the balance of those cards was terrible. There were definitively cards, if you didn't have this card, you just lost. Congrats.
Yeah.
And that felt terrible. So a balancing of it, but that kind of custom item shop, I think, is a really cool aspect that hasn't been done successfully.
Yeah, I give that 2 thumbs up. Bring back the Paragon card system. I loved it.
I think, I only because I've heard them talk about it. I don't know about the other ones. I haven't talked to them about, but like, I think Faults, they're overall in the future plan is to be able to just literally create you out of the items. Every item they have in the shop, you can just kind of take and make your own little pool. That way you just know, like, you don't have to sit there and siphon through, all right, let me go through all these because I only want, like, cause like for me right now, any ADC I pick, the bubble gun or Fate's Gunblade is not hey, this is a recommended item. So you have to literally go through and find it, or you get to type it up, So like, if I could just like, all right, here's all the ones, these are the items I use, I could just, all right, put these all in a pool. Like, all right, here's all my recommended, and these are the ones I'm going to use. And I could just pick from there, kind of just sort through that. I think they plan on doing that. But I couldn't, even with the you two both bringing something up, I can't, I don't know. Like I said, I don't play many games. I play Fault, or
well, you already brought yours in. You said Paladins, everybody's lined up.
There you go. That's yeah.
There you go. That's thanks.
You're welcome, Bearded. I'm here for you.
And to think I thought I was coming here for you.
I don't know. I think the like having an item set, like you were talking about, Bearded, like that's pretty standard for MOBAs, like being able to have your own build of items that you go in. You could still go outside that build and buy whatever you want, but that's just not the way Paragon was. Like, you had to make decisions when building a deck and make sure that your deck equaled exactly 60 card points, or else you were going in with like a 59 max deck and you were missing out on 1 card point, which I did a few times. But I'm
actually one of the minorities. I'm one of the minorities. But it's because when I went into Paragon, I was literally had no clue what a MOBA was, didn't know what I was getting into. And I got into it just before they actually went to the 3-card system. And I had no clue what I was doing. I have all these slots. I'm like, I don't know what this. I'll buy this, and I'll buy. I don't know. I'm just going to go to lane and shoot people. I'm hoping I'm going to win. But then when it came to the 3-card system, I was like, okay, put this card here. This card. This is my early game. This is my mid game. This is my late game. And I had 3 early, 3 mid, 3 late, and I was able to just go. All right. Go get as much gold as I can, upgrade as the next card. Get as much gold as I can, upgrade the next card. It was easy for me to focus on learning everything else about the MOBA, and I didn't have to worry about the items. I understand now, that's not a good thing, but I liked it, for somebody that's trying to learn the game and understand what's going on.
There's definitely the aspect of it being new player friendly, and their original card system was not by any stretch of the imagination. And their second version of it was definitely way more new player friendly.
To use the original card system, you kind of had to know how to play both a MOBA and a TCG.
Yep.
Because building a deck was very much like a trading card game. You pick this thing and this thing and this thing, and you pick this thing as a counter, and you put this on the bench. It's like building a Magic the Gathering deck. That's what I fucking loved about it. But
yeah, me too.
That's what confused the shit out of a lot of people, and whatever. It will be missed.
No, I think I would like that because the little bit that I did play, I did play like a couple games with my sister's ex-boyfriend back in 1980. Magic the Gathering. I played a couple, and I the little bit I learned of it, I'm like, oh, this is pretty interesting. But it's a very expensive hobby that I just couldn't see myself buying, to get into, because then once you start getting into it, ask Easy Ed. He's got into that Pokemon thing. Like, he's got so much money into that. No, thank you. I don't want to do
cardboard
that.
Crack.
That's really, and I'm like, no. But I am interested in it. I could definitely do that. Like, that looks fun, but I don't want to pay the money for it.
I don't know, guys. Take what we've said and pick which one of us had the best Parazombie Frankenstein, I think. Put it down in the comments below. Was it Bearded? Was it Jelly? Was it I think we all had pretty much about the same thing. Just a few little tweaks here and there.
Yep.
But I think the best part of any pair of Frankenstein right now would be Fault's constant uptime, as Jelly said.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's the most important feature. Let's stick that on any of them.
So, are we all going to get together on Unreal Engine and make our own game now?
Yeah. That's the announcement right now. There's a 4th Parazombie being produced by Jelly, Bearded, and I, and we're going to take the world by storm. fuck this fractured player base. We're going to fracture it even further. We're going to cut everybody else's legs out from under them. We're going to make our own goddamn game. You'll see, and it'll be better than everybody else's.
Yep, 100%.
Should we just join one of the other teams? Hell no! New company. We're going to call it Failure. Our game's name is going to be called Failure.
No, I think we go back to Crunch Punch the Kong Dong and use that as the name of the game.
That would have been a great game. Why didn't I make that game?
I still think we could do it, Mangoose. Come on.
I mean, I made the whole thing where he walked up and punched the Kong Dong. You know, I got some skills.
Oh my God.
I got some skills. Just saying. All right. I think that's about all I had to say on the topic, unless you guys had anything else.
Nope, that's it.
Yep.
All right. Well, then let's go to plugs. Bearded, what do you got to plug, buddy?
My stream, twitch.tv/TheBeardedWolverine, and also YouTube, which is also, you can find me, TheBeardedWolverine.
We need to get him to 100 subs so he can make his own name on there. It's not just a crazy URL, and I can actually go at TheBeardedWolverine in a YouTube video, and it notifies him that I made a video making fun of him and Windu.
Yes.
Let's get him. Just get him there, guys. Let's head over to the Bearded Wolverine's channel. It'll be linked in the description below and in the pinned comment below. And go drop him a sub, please, and thank you.
Oh, and for the TikTokers, I also have a TikTok that I will be putting like my clips on as well.
Man, nobody gives a shit about TikTok. Jelly, what do you?
You say that. I literally told you my numbers. Like my numbers on TikTok are like, make YouTube put to shame.
That's because you keep showing your
cow.
titties.
I'm allowed
Wait,
to.
what's that?
Mangoose, that's tit talk. That's different.
I just picture Beard spreading his beard.
Brilliant. Oh dear God.
That's too much. Oh God. Oh, Jelly. Before we completely lose our minds, you got anything to plug?
Twitch.tv/JellyKnees. And I'm also going to start a GoFundMe for our new studio, so please give us money. I'll make sure it all gets where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry about it.
The donation button will work. If nothing else does, hit me at www.evantail. Yeah, I got nothing to plug as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It's a fun one. It's always good to have.
You've been live streaming on YouTube. Plug it.
Yeah.
If people are watching this right now, they obviously know that my
Let
YouTube
them know
channel
that
exists.
you're live streaming.
Yeah,
All
they
notifications.
Did it like twice.
Mangoose
Yeah.
live streams on YouTube now where he learns Moragesh badly. So if you really want to watch that, you absolutely can go subscribe, do the like, do the comments.
I played
do the
Hit the
things.
bell.
3 games on. I played
on,
3
okay?
games on stream and I won 2 of them. That's pretty goddamn good for me.
You're saying
Played
it's-
more than that. You didn't know you were still alive.
Oh yeah, that's right. What's that?
You're saying a 66% win rate is passing because my high school would disagree with you.
Well, I went to high school in West Virginia, and that was fucking flying colors.
Valedictorian. There you go.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was certainly fun. Always good to have Bearded on here.
Yes.
There's always some crazy shit that goes on. Again, let us know whose Frankenstein you like the best, even though I think they were about all the same. They're all big green with bolts coming out of their neck. But yeah, that is going to close it out for this week, and see y'all guys next week. And I'll see you guys in the comments. And if you're watching this live or during the premiere, thanks for coming out. If you're watching it as a video, still, thank you for watching. But for now, bye, food.
I forget every time.
Mangoose. Special shout out to channel members Foolish Bloodhunter, JellyKnees, Meow Mix for Men, Stunt, Ferrith, and Raven.